quilting toolbox because it can give a whole different dimension and a whole different look to your finished product or project. Okay, so that's done. So now you can see that I've got this all, it's sewn and it's all cut apart. So what do we do next, you asked? I'm glad you asked that question. We're going to go back to the sewing machine and we're going to change our sewing foot. We are through with the free motion foot. So I would highly recommend, if you have a project that you've got lots of different pieces, I would recommend saving this part till last, so you're not changing back and forth. Okay, so I'm going to put my little regular sewing foot thing on, and here's something else I want to show you. Applique foot. Okay, this foot here is a regular sewing foot. This foot is an applique foot. Looks the same on the top, but on the bottom is where it gets the difference. This is flat on the bottom, and this, you can listen real close. You hear that click? There's a little bit of an indentation, a canoe. So from here on, it's about, I don't know, eighth or probably a 1/16 of an inch. But it gives you an extra space, so when you're doing a satin stitch like we're getting ready to do, then it leaves room for that thread to build up behind it, and it doesn't cause rat's nests and things of that nature. So definitely use your applique foot. So we're going to put this puppy on. I'm going to engage my feed dogs. And I'm going to set up my satin stitch. And what we're going to do is we are going to satin stitch this. If you look at the foot again, you see this little red dot? It's actually a triangle. The tip of this triangle is going to match up with your seam line that you just sewed. And then your zigzag is going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth over that. So you're not going to see that seam line. So you may be well served to use, say, purple thread or something on this portion so you can see where to sew, because the white thread's not going to be so easy to see. I should have thought that through better. Okay, so we're going to start. I'm going to hold this. Alright, something else I want to share with you when doing satin stitch on curves. When you're going to pivot, you want to be on this is your outside, this is your inside. This is your outside, this is your inside. So the outside is the fabric edge. You always want to be on the fabric edge before you pivot. Always. Doesn't matter if it's concave or a convex side, inside or outside. You always want to be on the outside edge. Now, if you, like right now we're on the inside curve, and I'm going to pivot this. Okay? Now, what I did was I just made a gap, and you're not going to be able to see this very well. But I just made a gap in my sewing. Let me sew a little bit further, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Alright, see now I'm at the point. I'm at one of these points here, and my needle is down. I'm going to pivot this. Alright, here's that gap I was telling you about. I was on the inside of the curve, and I pivoted. Now I've got like a missing tooth. When that happens, just do a couple of back stitches and then come back up. Now you'll notice if I'm on the outside of the curve as I am now, and I pivot it, I'm not going to need to do that. See, I'm just going to do back a little bit until it overlaps. Okay. See how I didn't need to backstitch there? But I backstitched here and I should have gone a little bit further, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about it. Alright, here I'm going to go back a little bit. Also, something else I want to show you. When you're going around a curve, can you zoom in on this triangle, Ken? Is that as zoom as it gets? Alright, this is a triangle. It's pointed this way, but it has an angle going this way and an angle going this way. Okay? When you're going around this curve, you want this side of the triangle to mirror the direction that you want to go. Not necessarily the point. Use the side. It really makes a big difference. And the same thing on the opposite side. When you're going around a curve to the outside, like when we go on this side, we'll be mirroring this side of the triangle, not this side. But that helps a lot. And I'll just finish this one side for you guys. And you notice rather than, although I am turning the fabric, I also like to pivot my needle. It gets a much finer curve that way. Much finer curve. Sorry. What, you can't see that? So for a beginner, I would recommend, number one, practice. Number two, I would recommend taking it slower. And you don't have to have a satin stitch. If you'd rather have a looser zigzag, that's fine. Just keep in mind that it will advance faster. Alright, so we made it to the edge. So we're just going to pivot it and go down. Alright, now I'm going to go out this edge for you guys. Okay, it turns out to be the same curve. Alright, I'm just going to stop there. Alright, one thing I've noticed. Come back over here. You'll notice that my stitch is too wide. I know this because I've just about covered all of this green fabric up. And it was tiny to begin with. So you really need a smaller stitch to not cover up so much fabric. I really can't think of anything else to mention other than just, you know, take it slow on your zigzags. It doesn't have to be a satin stitch. And go to YouTube, draw hyphen sew SEW hyphen trim, and you can see all kinds of much better videos than this and some of Catalin's beautiful work. Thank you very much, and happy sewing.